Happy, glorious Tuesday, everyone. Tuesday, the most overlooked day of the week. It's the Jan Brady of days. Not close enough to Friday to make you think about weekend plans. Well, unless you're Cat. But it's close enough to last Saturday that Cat's still throwing up. But also, Michael Loftus is here today. You don't need to clap. Here he is shopping for what to wear tonight.
Which gave me access to this.
Yeah, that's a great jacket. All right, this is a great Tuesday because I get to tell you about a magical place called Oberlin College. It's an expensive liberal arts school located in Ohio, a state, which has a special dorm called Baldwin College. It's home to the Women in Trans Collective, which the school's website describes as a close-knit community that provides women and transgendered persons with a safe space for discussion, communal living, and personal development. It sounds like a fun group. They probably have a vegetable garden. They're kept separate from other people. Because what a better way to fit in with the rest of society than to isolate yourselves from the rest of society. But what's missing in that exclusive dorm? Men, or rather, cisgender men, which is what we used to call dudes. Guys who eat a dozen fried eggs, a pound of smoked bacon, and wash it down with a pot of black coffee and a Marlboro Red before they drive to work where they use heavy machinery, the kind you're not supposed to operate after a shot of NyQuil. That's how my uncle lost a thumb and how I gained a good luck charm. But these are the men who build and repair the things we need to live our lives. They tend to have pickup trucks and rough hands. And let's stop there because I'm getting aroused. Anyway, the Oberlin Review, the school's student paper, reported last week that the school chose to upgrade their radiators in Baldwin College because apparently the students weren't hot enough, temperature-wise. But then, cisgendered men were dispatched to do the work. No trans, no lesbians, not even an asexual dwarf like myself. And we're very good at working in confined spaces, especially making toys or cookies. But this did not go over well, as one student relayed the horror, quote, "I am very averse to people entering my personal space." Well, so are most of us, unless we requested their presence to help us do something that we can't do ourselves. Besides, they're fixing your radiators, not asking you to slow dance. Anyway, quote, "The anxiety was compounded by the fact that the crew would be strangers and they were more likely to be cisgender men." Now, I totally get it. If I want someone to fix my radiator or a toilet, I prefer it be someone I really know well, not a stranger. I once asked out a plumber and dated for a month just to get my sink unclogged. But I also need evidence of their sexual orientation and gender identity, preferably on video. Which sucks because sometimes I'll have to wait months before I ever get to unclog a toilet. It's probably why I don't get many visitors, except for police officers wondering if I died. But worse, these anonymous tradesmen are all men. Weird. You'd think women would be flocking to occupations that often involve ripping out old, heavy metallic junk and then replacing it with new, heavy metallic junk. And then sometimes while doing it, take the occasional accidental swim in a septic tank. We call that the kill mead. Still, the victim continued saying, "I was angry, scared, and confused. Why didn't the college complete the installation over the summer when the building was empty?" Well, maybe because you don't need heat in the summer, and there's no students on campus to keep warm. Either way, I smell a lawsuit. Or maybe it's the ointment. I really should take this suit to dry cleaning. But when the construction workers showed up, the student felt violated. And yes, other residents felt the same way, concluding that Oberlin should have taken measures to keep students comfortable and safe. There's that word, safe. It's everywhere. Yes, I use it too, but it's usually to describe another word I've picked when I'm tied up naked and being whipped with a riding crop by Stuart Varney. But here it's based on this idea that you're somehow threatened by the mere presence of these workers, like you're an antelope near a lion or a Twinkie near Brian Stelter. Gotta have one of those a day. The guys who fix things, well, they're a danger. The world is full of these guys who make things work, but make you nervous, and they don't even know it. They're too busy improving your life to notice you cowering under the bed, wondering why their work boots aren't made of vegan leather. It's not fear of toxic masculinity, it's fear of competency. Dudes show up, work hard, and solve problems. It's the opposite of spoiled college kids, so soft and pampered, who have to create problems to give their lives meaning. The dorm author who felt scared by these renovations never said if he was actually harmed. Perhaps he was just made uncomfortable. By what? People who know how to fix things. At least for me, I'll admit, people who know how to fix stuff are intimidating. They actually are useful. They're the ones who pull over and help you change a tire in the rain, or push your car out of the mud when you're just trying to dispose of a dead hooker. A shout out to Hunter. But these dorm dwellers, they're kind of hopeless. If you're too fragile to deal with repairmen, you're screwed. There's just not enough bubble wrap to keep you protected in the real world.
Hi, we got a call about a broken radiator in this dorm.
Whoa. Okay, well, I'm the RA here. Nobody told me they were sending cisgendered men. I'm gonna have to ask you a couple of questions first. How do you feel about non-binary relationships?
One time my girlfriend's husband whacked me with that 2x4.
No, okay. Have you at least checked your privilege?
We're here to check the gas line to the boiler.
Guys, look. At this place, we're trying to dismantle the foundation of patriarchy.
We don't do foundation work, but we know a guy.
Okay, man, look, we just want to level the playing field.
It'll be level, we got a leveler.
Well, look, I can't let you in here. This place is gonna explode with rage.
If you don't let us in, it will explode with gas.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's so cool. Even his leather jacket owns a leather jacket. Reason editor at large, Nick Gillespie. Her mind is so sharp the TSA tried to confiscate it. Townhall.com editor and Fox News contributor, Katie Pavlich. His look says I might be homeless, but his smell says I'm definitely homeless. The LoftusParty.com founder, Michael Loftus. And finally, she wears those heels to distract from her ankle monitor. Fox News contributor, Kat Tips. Nick, welcome to the show. It's been a while. You look great as always.
Thank you, Greg.
Can you fix things?
I can break things much better than I can fix them.
Yes. Well, you are a libertarian.
Yes, that's
You
right.
have.
I revel in chaos.
Yes, you do. What do you make of
Tearing
this
things
story?
down.
This is a small story. I don't even mind segregation of gender in college. That makes sense to me.
Yep.
But what do you make of this idea of being terrified by cisgender men?
It reminds me that, we're raising human veal these days. People who are just incapable of walking across a room without feeling bruised and horrified by many things. I went to college to actually be made uncomfortable with the ideas of people like Marx and Nietzsche and Darwin and Freud. And if you're going to college and being made uncomfortable by somebody coming to fix a radiator in Ohio, which has really cold winters, I don't know. I think maybe you should take a gap year.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Katie, welcome to the show. Why do you suppose there is so much fear of cisgender men? I am a cisgender man, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I know that people are often questioning that because I do look like a young, nubile woman.
Yes. Well, first I would let you know that as a cisgender woman, I can actually fix things.
I think
and
you could.
although I maybe would volunteer my services to these poor, traumatized students, I would never subject myself to that type of abuse to go to that campus and listen to them complain about everything. And I think that they actually deserve to freeze. But in terms of them being afraid of cisgender men, it kind of deconstructs their whole argument about what they're doing there. These are the same people who think that transgendered women or biological males should be in a locker room with your teenage daughter.
Yes.
They're the same people who think that you should be able to go to a spa if you happen to be a biological male and change in front of biological women in the spa in the locker room. And so nothing that they're doing makes sense. If they want to pay $80,000 a year to be offended, that's fine. Just don't send your kids there.
Yeah, it's true. It's like the tolerance goes in one direction.
Yeah.
You have to tolerate a very small subsect of behavior, but then this kind of like mass behavior, which is just guys fixing things, that's frightening, Michael. You look like you just got off work fixing something. Were you working under a truck? How is your tow truck business doing, Michael?
The tow truck business is going very well. These stories, like, they terrify me, like, as a nation. We live in dangerous times. I don't want our enemies to know just how easily most of us are pushed over. Right? It's like we've got supply shortages. We could run out of food. If you say the wrong thing at a PTA meeting, the FBI is going to show it up at your door. Now the Chinese have a supersonic space nuke.
Yes.
And we're like, I'm scared of the radiator man.
Yeah.
Let's keep this to ourselves, okay?
Yeah.
We don't, because the Chinese are like, we're not even going to need guns. They don't need tanks. They just have to come over and go, we're here to fix the radiator. And Oberlin surrenders.
Yes, it's over. It's over, Lynn. This is why I sit here and you wear that jacket. Or maybe not, I don't know. Kat, what sort of person do you prefer to fix your radiator?
I don't have a preference. Look, and this, I don't think this is, well, maybe it's a little bit about woke culture, but as people have, brought up, it's $80,000 a year to go to Oberlin. So I think this is more, my parents have $320,000 to spend on a useless degree culture.
Yeah.
Not every kid with well-off parents is spoiled, but this one definitely is. And is not used to, nobody likes having somebody in their space. It kind of sucks for everybody, but this person's not used to having to deal with things that suck. And you have to give points for creativity because victimhood, I'm sure, is like currency at Oberlin.
Right.
To be able to be a victim, and this is super, super creative to try to make himself a victim, but of course he's not a victim, he's just a brat.
But it does show, this is a microcosm that shows you the disadvantages of separating people out because people, whether you like it or not, have different skill sets. So if you're gonna, let's say your radiator's on the fritz, are you gonna wait for the ideal trans radiator repair person within 700 miles of your home? Good luck. Good luck. So it's like the scarcity of skill and the scarcity of talent require that we all work together. How about wrapping up that segment with that beautiful thought? We all need to work together in order to fix that radiator.
I like it.
Yes.
I learned how to say that by living out here.
I bet you did, you strange little man.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.